Hi everyone and welcome to this video. I am Nganga Ngaruya. If it's your first time here, this is the Learn with Nganga Ngaruya YouTube channel where we always talk about data and everything data related. Just trying to promote data literacy among the people, and as I always say, remember data has surpassed oil as the world's most valuable asset. In this video, we're going to look at how I handle a client's work and the step-by-step procedure I take so that I'm most productive and most efficient and make sure I hit all the deliverables for the client. So I've worked in various sectors. I've worked in the real estate sector, I've worked for the government, I've worked in the sports sector, I've worked in agriculture, and I've also worked for education research. So we're on the 16th of December 2022. So the client we're going to talk about today is a client that is in the education research sector and is a PhD student. One of the services I offer is for PhD students. Most of the PhD students, especially who are not conversant with statistics, have a problem trying to draw conclusions from their data or undertake the data analysis part of their research. So what I usually do, I also help them out in this sector and help them create the necessary models and see how the research questions they have are going to be answered given the data they had collected. So today we're going to talk about one specific client. This specific client, we're in the beginning stages, and she's a PhD student. Her name is Pauline, a very good client. I've actually finished one of the clients that I had, has actually defended her thesis, and she's to get her doctorate real soon. So through a referral, I got this new client, and I'm currently handling about 3-4 clients right now, but she is the one who we're going to talk about today. So for the PhD students, what I offer is a full board support. What do I mean by this? I take their thesis, I read it, try my best to understand it, conceptualize it, and because most of the time after they write their thesis, they take it to the graduate school and it's given a lot of corrections, especially in the questionnaire part, I try and also solve the corrections for them, especially in the part where it involves data collection, so the questionnaire. I also take a lot of time to understand the objectives and also to understand the research questions, because these are what are most important about the research. The second thing I do is I handle the creation of the research tool. What do I mean by this? This basically means I handle the creation of the questionnaire, because I will be the one who will be doing the data analysis. I will also make sure that I have the model I want to use in mind before creating this questionnaire. Depending on what the research is trying to achieve, I have to see if I have to create a model that deals with linear regression, logistic regression, if it's a correlational relationship, if it's a chi-square use, if I'll use Pearson's correlation, etc. etc. With this in mind, I know how I'm going to construct the questionnaire, because if I want to do linear regression, I'll make sure the questionnaire is mostly numerical, and the things that I am trying to use as my y variable, which is the dependent variable, are numerical, meaning they are quantitative. If I want to deal with logistic regression, I will make the questionnaire have a y dependent variable that is an ordinal qualitative data point. If it's a relationship based, depending on the research itself, I'll know if it's chi-square or Pearson correlation, and I will structure the questionnaire depending on the exact specification of the thesis, which is determined by the objectives and the research questions. Something else that is very important is to make sure the qualitative data points have been categorized. What do I mean by this? If you're collecting data on challenges faced by a certain group of people, if you leave this question open, during the analysis, you'll spend a lot of time trying to categorize and see what these challenges are and where they lie. If somebody says water and somebody else says drinking water, these are the same points but not exactly the same, meaning you have to come and recategorize things to water and have everything that is related to water. Everybody who said water, drinking water, purifying water, etc. Having all these things relate to water, and if you do this post data collection, this is a very big problem for you, because you have to categorize already collected data. So also a very important thing you do is you look at the challenges and try to have a very wide scope of categories where you can have water, air, fire, whatever, and make sure you have categories however much they are. They can be 5, they can be 10, but make sure you have categories. And then make sure that there's also of course the other, and then you specify the other, and then this makes it a little bit easier when doing the analysis. You can come and check these categories and see which ones has the highest frequency of selection. The other now will have the free answers, but now it will be a very small proportion, and you can easily work with this proportion rather than working with an open-ended question. The next thing I do is build the questionnaire. I make sure the questionnaire is digital because we're living in a digital world, and written questionnaires on pieces of paper, that does not actually make sense. So what I do, I use one of the many digitizing questionnaires applications that are there. My preferred one is Device Magic. Device Magic is very good because it gives you a wide range of how you can categorize your questions. The question types are so many, very versatile, and I really like using Device Magic. The next thing I do is take my time to teach the enumerators how to use this specific tool that we use, the Device Magic. I also handle how they understand the questions themselves, me and the client themselves, and really try to make this as easy as ABC. The next thing I do is download the questionnaire, put it inside my computer. Most of them it comes as either a CSV or Excel file. After doing that, I am back now on the data cleaning and encoding, the whole pre-processing part of the data, which is extremely important and takes a lot of time. So as part of this video, I'm just going to show you what these concepts mean. We're not going to do them practically, but I'm going to show you the questionnaire itself and how I will handle it. Backstory: this specific client is in the baseline survey part of her research. What do I mean? The first thing you need to do, the way her research has been formed, is an action research. So she does a baseline to understand training needs of a specific group of people. Before doing the baseline, you have to do the pilot so that you can see if your questionnaire is good, check on the reliability. After doing the pilot is when you go to the baseline, now to collect the data itself. Both the pilot and the baseline use the same questionnaire, but sometimes after doing the pilot, you might want to alter or change a couple of things in your questionnaire, but very minimal. As long as it is reliable and you check reliability using things like cron batch alpha, and when the reliability is good, you can embark on the baseline. So this specific client collected her data for the pilot using enumerators, and I checked on the reliability of this specific questionnaire and it was good. I proceeded to the baseline. Today is the 16th of December 2022. She finished data collecting yesterday, 15th of December 2022, and now I just want to look at the data, familiarize myself with it, see how we're going to encode it, clean it, then proceed to doing some simple data analysis. Because this research itself has a couple of parts, has a couple of stakeholders which data is being collected from them. Some are being collected using Google Forms, and some are collected using live questionnaires on the ground using Device Magic. So what you're going to do, I'm going to go forward and just show you the data itself. So I will just begin by just opening the Jupyter Notebook. I use Jupyter Notebook and Excel hand in hand to try and solve these problems, because these skills are very necessary when they are used together. It is very good to understand both of them, and we are going to use Jupyter Notebook just to check on the data itself. I went ahead and downloaded the data and I put it in the file called, my client is called Pauline, so it's called Pauline in my documents. It's very good to organize your work very well so that it is easier to work with it. So we're going to go to the documents here, go to Pauline, and then the research itself is called Pauline Research Questionnaire Final Baseline. And now we're just going to open a new Python file here. Then we're going to do the necessary imports. I'll just import pandas because we just want to look at the data. Speedy, run this, and then we're going to create a data frame. On the data frame, we use read Excel. In this read Excel, we'll just read the data. Here, the data itself is called Pauline Research Questionnaire Final Baseline. Run this. and then you can look at, sorry, I have made a small mistake here, video read, no problem. It's just give me a small warning here, unknown extension is not supported, will be removed, no problem. Then we're going to look at the head, and then we're going to look and see how this head looks like. You can outrightly just see how some of these things are really long, like this, very long, and it's not very good to look at. You can see most of them are very long, and this is where the data encoding part comes in, where I'll just come and encode all of this into small column sizes, column name sizes, so that I can work with them. You can see most of them, like to determine the knowledge acquisition, attitude change and size, development and capacity, etc. It's a very long definition, but we are going to work with this, but change everything and encode it to something else. We just create a key where certain things, for example, let's just look at this one that I've just read, and it's just checking on the to determine the knowledge acquisition, attitude change and skill development. And then we're going to look at the state the level at which from 1 to 5, and we're going to check on this specific thing is I have gained new knowledge on how to do agriculture. Or we can just change this to gained new knowledge, new skill, change it to gain new skill, and becomes a little bit shorter, very easy to understand. And we can have the key say gain new knowledge represents this whole thing, rather than writing everything out. Working with data that looks like this is very hard, and that's one of the reasons why we do data encoding. Something else we're going to do is we're going to drop this first row, first column, not that important to us. We're going to drop these IDs, they're not important. Most of these things, the area is not important, and we're going to work with this and just clean the data up. Make sure that it is in good form, the column names are good, all the necessary columns are there, they've been encoded, converting everything to numerical values so that we can work with them in numerical values. For example, female, male, we can just create dummy variables for this, where rather than having female, male, we can just have male, 0 and 1, meaning if the male column, if it's 0, it's a female, if it's 1, it's a male, and just make sure everything is good. And also we'll check on multicollinearity, because multicollinearity, which basically means there's a column that is a perfect predictor of another column. Like if you can have male and female, and then say male 0, female 1, and these are two different columns, the male perfectly represents the female, so you need to drop one of them. And we also need to check data that has a high correlation with each other, so that we can see if we can remove them, because what I'm going to use for this is regression, and with the regression there are some assumptions and some conditions the data has to meet, and this will all be done as we move on. Once we have done this, we can now come and perform simple data analysis, because this is baseline. What we want to do is to check if all these, we want to check for the farmer training needs, and the farmer training needs, you can see how these are very big. It may be very hard for you to see what this means, and it becomes a little bit hard. So we can just check farmer knowledge, farmer training gaps, and these are the ones that we're interested in. Okay, and see the challenges, 3 ways, what areas of information do you require further knowledge in. You can just look at this, and you can see they want knowledge in these areas. So these are the training areas. So we have to come and check how many local chicken are there, how many bees keeping is there, dairy farming, dairy cow. And remember, I really categorize these things so that it reduces the amount of data analysis I have to do. So with having this in categories, now what we have to do is just separate this using these commas and have which areas they really want to study. And after they get the areas, these areas will be used to create a curriculum for them to be taught these things through radio. And I see this is just a preliminary stage, but it is very important for you to categorize the data as we talked about, and you see how it looks. After doing this, I will just create a report for them. Using these reports is what the client will use to talk to the supervisors and the university so that she can proceed to the next step, where we can now do the final data collection and see the effect of what she's doing, the creation of the curriculum, to how the farmers gain knowledge and how they use this knowledge, etc. And this is action research. So after she collects the data on how it has helped them, we come and redo this process again, then change the curriculum again, redo the process for about 6 months, and eventually we'll just see how helpful restructuring the curriculum was. So in this video, I just wanted to show you how I handle my clients, how I structure my jobs. This is just one of the clients. I have another one and another one, and also I create proposals to meet new clients. One of the best ways to get new clients is through referrals, and referrals have really helped me in the business, because referrals is the best mode of marketing, because somebody talking about you, that's free marketing, and you're telling somebody that might become a client real soon. So, and with that, I think this is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching it. If you have reached the end of the video, well, of course, you're the true hero. And if it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you are a regular, make sure you like, write a comment there, and I will really appreciate that. And with that, we've reached the end of the video. Adios. Peace.